Hey, Iostax here. Once again, I would like to thank my patrons. The top 500 tier actually increased in size to 3 people now, which I am incredibly grateful for. So thanks for supporting me. Welcome to my advanced Ana guide. I sadly don't have a clip for the opening, but trust me, if you will get good at her, you won't regret it. Once again, I won't go over basic abilities or explain how her abilities work. You can look that up. I do, however, go into number crunching. I will analyze her kit and go into the optimal way to both play her and improve with her. Today we will talk about her skill set, her learning curve, stages of progression, a couple stats sadly, optimal nano boost targets, healing or damaging, hipfire and scopefire, when to reload, hitboxes, sleep dart usage, pick potential, cancelling ults, the game's strongest ability, effective nade usage, nade and shields, countering ults, taking duels, positioning, vision, all matchups, and crouch spam. Looking at her skill set, I personally think that aim and movement aren't as important on Ana as on other characters. The most important skill sets for Ana is teamwork, for instance for her nano boost, game sense, in order to sleep dart enemies at the right time, and good positioning, in order to maintain vision on all of her teammates and to not get out of position and get picked off easily. Thanks to the increased friendly hitbox size while healing, which I will go into later, the skill flow for Ana in my opinion is rather low. However, you will pretty soon feel like you hit a plateau. Once you fully understand her, however, your skill with her will spike up drastically. This comes when you know how to properly use your nade, nano boost, sleep dart, and you learn to aim with her better and play a bit more offensively. In my opinion, there are 5 stages of play for Ana. We have the offensive Ana, where players tend to play her like Widowmaker and they mainly go for kills. We have the off-heal Ana, where Ana heals her teammates from while to while, but she gets distracted by enemies too often. We have the pick phase, where she tends to heal her teammates and only goes for kills when she can get an easy pick. The actually kinda good phase, where she knows when to use heal nade and sleep darts, and the comprehension phase, where she basically never dies due to good positioning, wins duels due to good outplays, and she lands important sleep darts on enemies. Sadly, we do need to go over some stats because I think knowing them can be important in certain situations. Ana obviously can't headshots, and her shots don't have fall off. Shooting a friendly target heals him for 75 and an enemy deals 80 damage. Shortly after her release, her ammo counter got buffed to 10 shots, her reload time takes 1.5 seconds, and it takes around 0.83 seconds to shoot. Some good nano boost targets are Lucio with or without his ultimate. Thanks to his speed aura, he synergizes really well with Ana, since as you know, the speed boost from her ultimate got removed recently, and this way Lucio can counteract that and deal a lot of damage. Good nano boost targets, when the target doesn't have his ultimate, are Reaper, Winston and D.Va, and good targets, if they have their ultimate, are Genji and Soldier. And obviously there are more targets who can nano boost, however I find after the recent nerf to the movement speed buff, these are the best ones to choose. Genji's mobility allows him to deal a lot of damage and jump in between targets, so the movement speed nerf recently doesn't affect him as much, so he is still a really big threat to the enemy team. Same thing with Soldier. Thanks to the sustain with his biotic field and his unreliance on a movement speed buff, his ultimate is really strong, especially after they recently buffed his shots. Not only is D.Va extremely tanky on her own, if you add the nano boost to the mix, she becomes basically unkillable, especially to characters like Reaper, who rely a lot on the target's lack of armor. Also, she can get close to the target thanks to her dash, and the recent buff to her movement speed while shooting helps compensate for the nerf to Ana's ult. She deals a lot of damage. While the Beyblade strat isn't as viable as it was before thanks to the movement speed nerf, Reaper is still a force to be reckoned with. He deals insane amounts of damage while nano boosted and can melt tanks in seconds. Winston is pretty similar to D.Va. Not only doesn't he rely on the speed boost as much, thanks to his jump back ability, however his incredible tankiness scales incredibly well with the damage reduction from Ana's ultimate, and he can dive the backline effectively and get early picks in the fight. Since he doesn't have to aim either, he's a very consistent target to nano boost. One of the biggest questions Ana players ask themselves is whether they should heal or deal damage. The number one priority for Ana is to keep people alive, so she should heal characters with critical HP. When no one is in risk of dying, however, she should attack the enemies. This ensures that she gets her powerful ultimate as soon as possible. Also, shoot enemies if it prevents deaths. So for instance, if the enemy McCree uses his ultimate, if Genji uses his ultimate, or if Reaper uses his ultimate. Another important question is whether to use Hipfire or Scopefire. Hipfire is a projectile, meaning that it's hard to hit at range, and Scopefire is hit scan, which means that it reaches the target faster and is easier to hit at longer ranges. Most of the time you should use Hipfire at close ranges. The extra field of vision outside of the scope is important because it allows you to be aware of your surroundings. Use your scope for hard to hit targets like Genji or Pharah, especially when they are on the enemy team. Now, when should you reload? You should only reload when no one is in any danger. You don't have much time, so you need to use it. Don't reload in the middle of a fight. Always try to use up all of your 10 shots and then reload instead of letting bullets in your magazine go to waste. Now obviously there's no ammo counter, however time wasted reloading is time the enemies can use to kill your tanks quickly without the burst heal you provide. One thing to note about Ana is that friendlies have a larger hitbox only while hip firing. It can be hard to hit who you want to because of body blocking. This is also one of the reasons why high ground is really important for Ana. It causes less body block to occur. Right here we can see a comparison. If I hip fire, you can see that my shots are being blocked by the friendly Rotok, even though I have clear vision of the enemy one. Whereas if I scope in, that becomes no issue. Next up, sleep dart usage. Your sleep dart is incredibly important. Don't waste it. Always think about the consequences. Are you going to either save someone using it or kill someone using it? If the answer is no, then don't use it. It's a 12-second CD wasted, and good enemies will capitalize on that. Also, use it to cancel ultimates. Here you can see the characters with ultimates that are extremely easy to shut down using your sleep dart. Always be aware of which one of these characters is on the enemy team and try to track their cooldowns. If you know that one of these is on the enemy team and has his ultimate up, it's better to usually save your sleep dart. Also, your sleep dart has insane pick potential. The default combo for killing someone after you sleep darted them is shoot, nade, shoot and melee. You need to be aware that nade and melee cancels the reload animation on your weapon. This means that you can use all 4 moves in a short period of time, which will guarantee a kill on all 200 HP targets. Here we can see the Ana sleep dart combo in action. Also, be aware that Ana's sleep dart doesn't work on turrets like the one by Torbjorn. It still deals its damage, even though minuscule, however the turret will continue firing. Next up, Ana's grenade. Ana's grenade is arguably the strongest ability in the entire game next to Lucio's speed boost. It applies a 5-second debuff or buff where friendlies take 100% more healing by any healer or self-healing, and the enemies debuffed by it can't be healed. Also, it heals friendly characters for 100 and damages enemies for 60. Also, the range of the grenade is insanely long, but keep in mind that if it travels in the air for too long, it will detonate before hitting the ground. Also, it flies in an arc, so you can use that to stand behind cover and throw grenades over it. It's really effective if you combo it with Zarya ultimates or to counter enemy Zenyatta ultimates. The fact that Ana's grenade can hit both her, friendlies, and enemy characters at the same time allows her to have insane dueling potential. Now this doesn't mean that you should run around and search for duels, however if you see an enemy who is trying to kill you, make sure that you both hit him and you with your grenade in order to switch the fight over into a 160 difference. Right here we can see the duel where Ana hits the grenade, and it's an easy victory. Also, be aware that Ana's grenade stops all forms of self-healing. So for instance, Mercy can't heal up with her passive, or Zarya's shields doesn't regenerate. In order to visualize the strength of Ana's healing nade, here you can see Rotok heal himself, and afterwards we throw the grenade on him. This time we do the same, However, the nade hits him so that his heal benefits from the healing buff, and you can see it makes a massive difference. Now let's go over the matchups. Genji is pretty easy since you can hit your grenade easily, and your sleep dart, if you manage to hit him, counters his ult. Same thing with Pharah, you simply outrange her as a sniper, and when she ults she's stationary, so sleep darting her becomes super easy. McCree wins at long range, but then again he is incredibly vulnerable during his ulti, and you can counter it with sleep dart as well. Reinhardt's large hitbox is pretty easy to sleep dart, and the grenade counters him perfectly since he is very reliant on team healing. D.Va is a little annoying because she can aim her defense matrix on teammates you are about to sleep dart and soak it, which will happen very often. Also, the fact that her gun fires in short bursts once it hits the target, the armor has a bigger effect on it, so she deals less damage to armor. And Widowmaker is pretty simple. Widowmaker simply outranges an Ana, and even if the Ana manages to hit, since she can't headshot, Widowmaker can just take her time and one-shot her. Zarya is also pretty bad, since if Ana manages to sleep dart someone and she is about to use her combo, Zarya can just shield the target to save her. Winston on the other hand is a pretty good matchup, because the nade counters the ultimate. If you check the recent trick compendium, you will see that the heal isn't applied, only the 500 bonus HP when he ults. Also, he's pretty huge, so it's easy to sleep dart him. Roadhog gets countered pretty hard as well, since Ana's heal nade counters his self heal. He's incredibly easy to sleep dart, and the sleep dart cancels both his ultimate and his hook if he hooks one of your teammates. Symmetra is also pretty simple, since Symmetra's range is pretty short, and Ana is capable of destroying turret nests for Symmetra in an iffy. Zenyatta is completely countered by Ana, since his ultimate is completely negated by Ana's healing nade AoE effect. Here we can see the nade against Symmetra turrets in action. Lucio is not a very good matchup, since he is hard to hit, and the heal nade doesn't counter his speed aura, which he is in by default. Mercy, however, is completely negated thanks to the nade, so this is really good when she pocket heals someone. Hanzo simply outranges her, so you shouldn't try to 1v1 him. Bastion is a pretty easy target to sleep dart, especially during his ultimate, and your nade also counters his heal. And Tracer is a bad matchup, because her recall actually counters your nade. She can still heal, and the debuff is removed. Also, she is incredibly hard to hit. While Ana can't sleep dart Tourbillon's turret, especially not during the ultimate, the turret is still easily destroyed, especially while hip firing, since she can just fast peek a corner and destroy it without taking damage. Mei is a bad matchup, because she can freeze Ana unless she hits her sleep dart, and she has too much HP for the sleep combo. Junkrat is a great matchup, because he provides Ana with free ult charge, since she can counter heal his bombs. Here we can see Ana counter healing the spam by a Junkrat on the Roadhog using her healing grenade. Ana is very ability reliant, since her cooldowns are incredibly strong, and her ultimate is as well. So Sombra is a pretty good counter, since after she hacks her, Ana becomes a little useless. Soldier outranges her, however the grenade counters his heal, and Reaper is pretty easy to sleep, and is a great counter whenever he ults thanks to the sleep dart. So, when do you pick her? You need to realize that Ana has incredible burst heal. She goes great with a Lucio, who is not a good burst healer, or a Zenyatta, who isn't a good burst healer either, and his ultimate is very defensive, which complements Ana's offensive nano boost. She isn't so good with Mercy, because they will just steal each other ult charge. Triple Tank is also a great composition, and she can even solo heal 3 tanks at once and burst out constant nano boosts. Her ultimate works great with tanks, since they have a higher HP pool, meaning that the damage reduction is great, especially with armored tanks, and tanks can deal a pretty substantial amount of damage, especially now that D.Va is in the meta. High ground for Ana is amazing, since it helps with the hitbox issues while hip firing we mentioned earlier. Make sure that you never sacrifice your position to save someone. Ana is incredibly vulnerable outside of her main position, and this usually leads to 2 people dying instead of 1. One very important aspect on Ana positioning is vision. She is the only character which has a gun that both affects teammates and enemies, which means she needs to be able to see both enemies and friendlies, in contrast to Widowmaker, who for example only needs to see enemies. So vision can be incredibly important. Try to stay behind as many people as possible without giving up on good positioning. There is nothing worse than not sleep darting someone or healing someone because you don't see them. Let's have a look at an example. This is defense on King's Row Point A. The area marked as green is where her team positions herself, and the red area is where the enemy team is at the moment. The red position number 1 is pretty bad because she is very vulnerable to flankers and rotor cooks, so you shouldn't stand there. Position 2, 3 and 4 are also pretty bad, because if the enemy team pushes through position 1, so to the right side of the statue, and they end up taking the point, Anna has no way of preparing for street phase, so this is really bad, even though position 3 may look enticing since it offers a pretty good overview of the battlefield and she has high ground advantage. Number 1 is a pretty good position on the plus side because it offers high ground, and if anything goes wrong she can just walk backwards, and downstairs there's a big health pack she can use, or she can go over to the palisade into the building on the window and have a pretty good overview from there, and also reset back to the second point on the street space. The same applies for position 2 and 3, where she is behind her team and she has a pretty good escape route, however there she needs to be aware of enemies flanking through the hotel. Here we can see the same situation from another position. Number 1 again is in the hotel, and number 2, 3 and 4 we have already covered. This time red team pushed via the right statue, and position 2, 3 and 4 are really bad because Anna ends up being behind the enemy team and she can't heal her teammates. Positioning 3 is great since she has cover behind the hotel as long as she watches out for flankers going through it, and she can fall back. Position 4 is a little hard to see, it's basically the little window behind the point. This is also pretty good as long as she won't get counter sniped by the enemy team. Position 2 is also great behind the telephone booth since she has a great cover and she can retreat back into the building to prepare for street phase. And then there's position 1, which we mentioned earlier, but this one is a little further back. This allows her to take cover and retreat. One tip a top 500 player told me is to crouch spam as Anna. This would normally hinder aim, however hip firing on allies doesn't really need aim thanks to the increased hitbox size. Crouch spamming makes you hard to hit, especially in the head, and it's annoying as hell to shoot at, especially while strafing. Headshots on Anna are already difficult, and this makes it almost impossible. This test may not be very scientifically correct, but I think it showcases my point well. So who are some good Annas you can learn from? I can definitely recommend Ryo Jae-hong, who played extremely well in the World Cup and is from Korea, I think, South Korea. Ships Hajan from Team Envious, who plays her exceptional. I got recommended Toby, who is I think a top 150 player on the ladder, and he plays her exceptionally well. Stir is also a pretty good Anna when he plays her, and the same applies to Nevix. If you know any more Annas to learn from, then please share it with me and others in the comments. Let's get to the conclusion. Anna, in my opinion, is one of the strongest characters in the game. She is a pub comp monster. She has insane carry potential, a high skill ceiling. She needs some getting used to, but if you master her, she is well worth the work, and you can do incredible amounts of damage and have an insane amount of impact in every single game you play, even though she is rated as a support character. I am IOStux, and I'd like to thank you for learning.
Para